Welcome, dear journalists, dear guests, prime ministers. Welcome to the press conference. We are very delighted to welcome the Prime Minister of Sweden here in Tallinn, in Estonia. The Prime Minister Kaja Kallas and the Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson just concluded their bilateral meeting and will deliver short remarks. After that, it is possible for media to ask questions. The press conference is in English with simultaneous translation into Estonian. First, Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear Ulf and dear journalists, it's my great honor and pleasure to welcome you here in Estonia. Your visit today shows the importance your government has given to the Nordic and Baltic cooperation. I really feel that our region, the Nordic-Baltic region, is the most innovative region in Europe, and we have so many places where we could cooperate. Of course, over the past year, our region has been at the forefront of helping Ukraine against Russian aggression. The leadership and joint efforts of Nordic-Baltic countries are essential to make sure that the steady support to Ukraine continues and to our own region remains secure and thriving. And we must find ways to deepen the Nordic-Baltic cooperation even more. As Sweden holds the presidency of the European Council, European Union for the first half of 2023, we also discussed the issues related to Sweden's priorities. And thank you for setting Ukraine as at the heart of your presidency. Russia is preparing another offensive, major offensive, and our aid to Ukraine must be sufficient to counter it. But not only that, the aid must help Ukraine to push Russian aggression and troops back to its territory. We all go through our warehouses and stockpiles, but that is no longer enough. Our defense industries must produce more and faster. EU leaders will meet later this week. My message will be we must move forward with accountability. Russia's crime of aggression must be punished. There can be neither impunity nor immunity for this ultimate international crime. Russia's crime of aggression needs to be tried before international court. The EU should take the leading role in achieving a broad cross-regional support to establish an international special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. Another issue is the use of Russia's frozen assets to support Ukraine. Here, I expect the European Commission to finalize its legislative proposal without delay. I've also asked my government to look into which possibilities Estonian legislation would offer in this regard, and we see a number of other countries doing the same. On sanctions, it is important that last week we reached an agreement on 2 new price caps on Russian oil products. Price caps are some of the most effective measures to reduce the revenues of Russia's military war machine and state budget. So we must keep reviewing and updating them, including the crude oil, the one on crude oil. Security and defense issues featured high on our agenda. We hope that Sweden's and Finland's NATO accession process will be completed as soon as possible. This will enhance our collective security and strengthen the whole alliance. Sweden has Estonia's full support. Energy security is also important. There is huge potential in offshore wind. It is great that the wind energy goals agreed in Marienborg last August have now officially been formalized in the European Union. We need to work together in the European Union to increase funding for renewable energy and also grid infrastructure. We discussed our bilateral and regional cooperation as well. I see a lot of practical value in cyber and digital cooperation, but also sustainable forestry. It is also important to work towards deeper integration of our region. Here, too, digital and green transition have much to offer. The entire Baltic Sea region is safe, innovative, and forward-looking. It is easy and safe to do business here. I'm convinced that Nordic and Baltic countries can lead the way in Europe and can be one of the most integrated, sustainable and digitized regions of the world. Thank you once again for coming to visit us.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Dear Kaja, I'm really pleased to be here in Tallinn today. It's my first visit to Estonia as Prime Minister, and a very important ambition for my government is to strengthen the bilateral relations between our two countries and the cooperation between the Nordic countries and the Baltic countries as well. Tallinn is the capital closest to Stockholm, as we learned on our trip here today, and we have a shared history. European security has, of course, been on top of our agenda today, and I very much appreciate that Prime Minister Kallas' impressive leadership on these issues. We have a common voice in the European Council. To make Europe safer is also one of the three key words we use for the Swedish presidency during these 6 months. Obviously, first of all, to maintain a united support for Ukraine in military as well as in political and economic and humanitarian terms. That's our top priority. Estonia and Sweden share this strong commitment to Ukraine's defense and freedom, because the fate of Ukraine is, as we all know, the fate also of Europe. Strong transatlantic ties and close cooperation between the EU and NATO are essential components here, the unity and the transatlantic links. On behalf of the Swedish government, I would like to express how much we appreciate that Estonia was among the very first countries to ratify the Swedish application for NATO membership. We really feel that the support you have given us during this journey. Finland and Sweden in NATO will strengthen the alliance and open up important possibilities for increased Nordic-Baltic cooperation on security and defense. Sweden and Finland, we want to be security providers, not only having the help from the alliance. As a future ally, Sweden's intention is to assist with air presence and surveillance in support of Estonia, as well as Latvia and Lithuania, through NATO's Baltic air policing using our Gripen aircraft. We are also prepared to assist in NATO's air policing in the Black Sea and in Iceland. And just like a number of other NATO countries, our intention is to provide ground combat units in NATO's defense of the Baltic states. We are here to provide security as well. Sweden and Estonia are strong partners across the board. At today's meeting, we have discussed several current issues on the European agenda and the priorities of the Swedish presidency. I would in particular like to mention our focus on Europe's long-term competitiveness and productivity to make Europe both greener and freer, not focusing only on immediate crisis management, but also on the long-term challenges as well. This might be more important than ever, as we are facing serious challenges in terms of high energy prices and assertive global competition. Important priorities for us are therefore to strengthen the single market, increasing our trade opportunities, prioritizing research and development, ensuring better regulation, and accelerating digitalization, where Estonia is already at the forefront. We have a lot to learn from you. Sweden, we always believed ourselves to be in the forefront. We really appreciate you being there even more so. I look forward to continuing this cooperation and strengthening the ties further between Sweden and Estonia, and to be here is truly nice, and I'm really happy that you would like to have us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now it's possible for media to ask questions. Please state your name, media outlet you're representing, and to whom the question is addressed to, and my colleague will help you with the microphone. And I believe we have first one already there, please.
Arni Alandi, Estonian Public Broadcasting Company, and my question goes to Prime Minister of Sweden. How do you feel about possibility that Finland will join NATO before Sweden, and how Sweden will act if this is the case? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as you know, we have started this process together, and I have been very, very frequent contact with both Sauli Niinistö, the President of Finland, and with Sanna Marin, the Prime Minister. And I simply confirm what they are confirming, that they are in this journey together with us. We are in this journey together with Finland. We have this trilateral memorandum between Finland, Turkey, and Sweden, and we follow that. We confirm progress on that trilateral memorandum. So I simply note and confirm what they are saying. But I also, and I will normally state that in Sweden, I also understand the frustration in Finland, of course. Not least after the last week's events going on in Sweden with activities deliberately hurting the Swedish accession process. So I understand the frustration, and I appreciate that they confirm that we do this together.
Thank you. Next.
I'm Lars Larsson from the Swedish news agency TT. A question first for Mrs. Kallas. Does it matter from an Estonian point of view if Finland goes it alone before Sweden?
We have been supporting both Finland and Sweden together. So we hope that our allies will ratify Sweden and Finland together. But I think the process is so that if Turkey really decides to move in another direction, then we have to do everything to support also Sweden to join. And I think all the allies are here together, that we need both Sweden and Finland to join. This has been the will of all the countries, because except for Hungary and Turkey, who have been ratified. For our region, it would be best, for the security of our region, it would be best if both countries join. So let's work with that. If no other messages are there, if it is going to be more complicated than that, then let's see what we can do to help to overcome these difficulties. But we support them both.
And a question for Mr. Kristersson. How would it affect Estonia's security if only Finland joins or comes before Sweden?
Well, I won't jump into any conclusions at all, not least in the matter of Finland's and Sweden's accession process. So I think I strongly stick to the process we have, and I'm quite convinced that it will end in the situation where both countries become members. I think it's fair to say that we respect fully the fact that each and every of NATO's 30 countries need to ratify themselves. So we fully respect that the Turkish decision is made by Turkey, no one else. But we also appreciate, and we really and we see the fact that 28 countries have already ratified, both Sweden and Finland, and we feel a very, very strong support in all these bilateral meetings and other meetings, and including from our US friends for the need of a rapid process as possible. So I won't comment on that kind of questions. And besides from that, I think it's fair to ask that question to our Estonian friends, because I think they have a very, very solid view on the security position of Estonia right now.
If I just may add, our security cooperation, both with Finland and Sweden, is very strong. We are in this JEF, Joint Expeditionary Force, together, where we are planning our military exercises and doing already security cooperation. So, of course, for us, it would be much clearer if Sweden and Finland are also members of NATO. But I think in terms of military cooperation, we have it already very, very good. And I don't think that it will make the security of our region any weaker if this process is a bit longer than first thought.
Yes, and if I may add on, even as today, we realize that there still are opportunities for improvement. We realize today we can enhance our cooperation in terms of cybersecurity matters, for example, where all our countries are being attacked deliberately by countries and forces that want to harm us. So both are very advanced countries in terms of cyber, so we can do even more together in those terms.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Hello, I'm Grete Balluste from Delphi, Estonian News. As Sweden has taken over the presidency of the European Union, then I would like to firstly hear from you and then the Estonian Prime Minister, and it regards Hungary and the concerns over the rule of law in that country. So how would you assess the process of Hungary actually committing to overcoming these concerns on behalf of the EU?
I think we are doing exactly right now what we said in our priorities, and I think that is kind of self-evident. We stick to the procedures. There is an ongoing dialogue, and there is also an Article 7 process going on, and we will conduct that according to the agenda and to the timetable that we have already. We are seeing progress, but this being made very thoroughly. I think there is a very broad consensus among European Union countries that this is a very important task for the Union to uphold the common values, and that we are doing it in a very careful way, without risking, of course, unity in other areas where we can work together very well.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Pärit Nuka newspaper Postimees. My question is for Mr. Kristersson. Your cooperation partner in government, Swedish Democrats, they have kind of encouraged this kind of provocations about when it came to Quran burning. And this has caused a lot of discussion on freedom of expression in Sweden. How do you think this will affect your government stability and cooperation in NATO areas, also with the opposition, who has been very critical about this cooperation because of those statements that Swedish Democrats have done recently?
Well, there is a lot of quarrel going on among parties outside the government, and I don't take part of that. I'm trying to say to the Swedish public the last weeks that let's calm down. Let's come back to good talks with our Finnish and Turkish friends on this extremely important matter. What might be legal is not necessarily appropriate or respectful. Nobody asks for changes on Swedish legislation, but I think many people ask people to try to be respectful domestically, but also internationally. And just to state the obvious, this is the most severe security situation we've been in since the Second World War. So let's take it seriously. And I fully accept, of course, that people use the freedom of expression and do things like executing dolls or burning holy books. That is legal. I do not think it's respectful. There are a lot of, there are single individuals doing this to draw attention for different things. Some of them want to draw attention to the fact that they oppose the Swedish NATO accession. Others try to draw attention to the fact that they have other opinions on other topics. So that is legal. My first priority will stick to be a Swedish security concern.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Hi, Indrek Lepik, Business Daily, Äripäev. My question is to the Swedish Prime Minister. Do you see that Sweden's help to Turkey regarding the recent disaster there can help mend ties and sort of make those relations better that are right now sort of an obstacle towards Sweden's accession to NATO?
I don't think you should see a disaster of that scale in those terms at all. We do what we shall do and what I think we are morally obliged to do. We're not the only country. On the contrary, a lot of countries have the same view. And we would have done exactly the same to any other country in need.
I guess we have time for final question. It comes from the front row.
Hello, my name is Janis Lazans, news agency Reuters. Question to Swedish Prime Minister. So what would be these concrete steps to resume talks with Turkey then, knowing that the Madrid agreement is met? So what can you do?
Well, of course, the first thing we need to do is kind of calm down the situation. It's hard to have good talks while things are literally burning around you. I mean, that goes without saying. So that was the reason behind my pledge. Let's calm down. Let's do what. Let's take security concerns into account and come back to the discussion table. And I think there are good preconditions for that. At the same time, we fully respect the fact that Turkey is coming close to a national election, and every country they focus on domestic policy when you are coming close to an election. So as soon as they are prepared, we are obviously prepared, and our friends in Finland are equally prepared for those talks.
All right, thank you. This is unfortunately all the time we have. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Prime Ministers, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.